Okay, so first thing that we're going to talk about is enjoying your relationship with your partner, your spouse, your significant other. You have to enjoy your relationship. You have to continue the momentum of that honeymoon phase throughout your relationship. Because if not, what will happen is become very complacent and you'll see that things start to unravel quickly. Okay. So you have to continue the same momentum throughout your whole relationship. You have to be able to give yourself 100%, meaning that you need to focus on giving 100% of you to make that relationship sustain the damage that you could create if you don't. Okay. So, what does that mean? What does it mean, enjoy your relationship? It doesn't mean that you always have to, but you need to go on dates. You need to continue to date your spouse. You need to continue to date your significant other. You need to continue to learn that person. You need to have fun with that person. You need to continue to develop and grow more content into your relationship. In other words, you're going to develop things that you learn about each other and you're going to incorporate it in your relationship with each other. You're going to go in and you're going to continue to grow. Okay. That way you can keep that love going, that love building, that love, just sustaining and going through. Um, It doesn't always mean that you're going on fancy dates. Sometimes it means you're going to sit at your house, sit down at dinner, and you're going to have good discussions, or you're going to play cards. Maybe you do go out to eat. Maybe you go on a trip together. Maybe you sit at home and just watch TV. Whatever it is, make time for each other. I do have a deal with that to where, like, we can be home watching TV. That's fine. But after that, I want to spend time doing something else because when you're watching TV, you really have no time to communicate. It breaks that discussion. Okay. Um, Also, you need to be aware of the time that you need because you can be so invested in making everything about the other person that you lose yourself, which means that you're going to start draining yourself, right? Um, and you're going to become to the point to where that relationship's no longer fun because you're not adequately taking care of yourself, right? So what I say with that is know if you need a time, whether it's go take a shower and just dependently be by yourself, go take a walk, go get your nails done, go build something in the garage, do whatever you can do that requires you to refill your own needs for a moment. Okay. Be the person that can say, okay, I love you, but I am feeling pretty smotherish, and we need to work on this. Okay. One of the best things that you can do in enjoying your relationship is getting to know their love language. I tell people this, and I am a hard believer in there are 5 different types of love languages, and you might want to learn what those are. So, I am going to give you the first resource that I think I've given in a long time, but there is a book out there, and with the book, it is called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's very helpful in keeping the relationship alive. And this is why I say that. Okay, so let's say that, okay, first let me just go over the 5 love languages, okay? Acts of services, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, and receiving gifts. Those are the 5 love languages, okay? I personally, I personally am a words of affirmation. So all I really want in life is words of affirmation. Second close would be quality time, okay? So here William and I are in this relationship. And if he never said, "Hey, I appreciate what you do," or "Hey, you look great today," I would start to feel blah, right? Because my love language is not being met. If he decided to come home and never spend time with me, I would start to feel blah because my love language is not met. And with that being said, you have to Get the other person's love language. And you don't have to ask them, because a lot of times they're going to be like, you'll say, "What's your love language?" And some of them will be like, "You're what?" Because that is surely what William would have done. He would have had no clue what I was talking about because he hadn't read the book. He hadn't been to therapy for a therapist to tell him. So it's not like I could literally say, "Hey, William, what's your love language?" But what I did is I paid attention to him, and his two would be physical touch and quality time. So if I go out buying him gifts, right, I'm not fulfilling his love language. That does not really mean much to him. Not at all. Okay. But if I will sit down and give him a back rub, the man is gooey for days. Like, that's his love language. That gets him. That's where he gets at the heart. Okay. And the importance of doing that and talking about enjoying your relationship is that if you can know what your partner's love language is, it allows you the strength to create those positivities, those fun, that date, that whatever. Because let's say they have a receiving gifts love language, okay? And you're like, "Hey, we're going to go on a date." And they get really excited about the date and the thought, "Well, maybe they're going to give me a gift before we go. Maybe they'll bring roses. Maybe they'll do this." And you don't do that. Well, you broke their heart. You know, they were expecting something that they thought you would know that they wanted. Okay. So, not saying you have to give gifts every time, and a gift does not have to be a diamond ring or a big gift. For a long time, I was a receiving gifts type of person, but my gifts were different. My gifts were I loved, I still do love the fact of getting like a handmade card, like a personalized card, not handmade, but personalized card. To me, that's a gift. But your person may have bigger gifts than mine. That's something that you're going to need to figure out with them, right? And the reason that we do this is because, again, it just strengthens that bond. It lets you guys learn about each other, and it gives you successful tools to be able to keep that relationship in enjoyment mode. It keeps that building of a relationship stronger throughout. And again, you heard me say I used to be a receiving gifts. That has since changed on my meter, you know. So those love languages can change. They're not set in stone for the rest of your life. At different phases of life, it may be different. So you really have to talk and communicate about those things. You have to want to put yourself into knowing who that person is or what they're wanting at the time, so that you can fully know your partner. Okay. And sometimes in new relationships, it's the giving gifts, right? Because that's the newness of the relationship. But once you guys have created a foundation and you're doing all the positive things, then guess what happens? Your relationship has strengthened to the point to where your love language could change. Okay. So again, if your love language is positive affirmation or words of affirmation, and somebody brings in a gift every day, and you're like, "I don't really need a gift," you want them to listen to that, right? You can be like, "Hey, if you could just tell me every day that you love me and or whatever, that would be better than a gift," and they're not listening, it breaks down that positivity that you've had going through your relationship. It breaks down that strength that you had because they're not paying attention to you. Um, I know that there are some versions that talk about 7 types of love languages, and that is true. Um, they have acts of services, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, communication, expression of affection and love, and final thoughts. So there are 2 different ways that you can look at this. If you research it, if you Google 5 love languages, you could get it. If you do 7 love languages, you can get it. But if you're interested in finding that out and trying to figure out your partner, do it. Do it. It only is going to make you stronger. Okay. And you might need to sit down and have a conversation about, "Hey, I was listening to this crazy lady, Diane." No, I'm kidding. I was listening to Diane, and she's like discussing the love languages of, relation or of people and how they help relationships. And the reason I say that is because when I tell you to enjoy your relationship, I mean, you have to put yourself into your relationship to enjoy it. You have to be 100% into enjoyable. Okay. Now, I am not saying that if you know the love language, that is all the like you're in heaven. I'm saying you still have to work at it. You still have to put your investment into your relationship. Um, and then with that being said, I think there's another thing that I want to hit on right here in this little section. I hate hearing people in relationships saying, well, I gave my part. Where's your part? It's 50-50. It's 50-50. That's what it is. It's 50-50. That's what people say. 50% him, 50% her, 50% one person, 50% the other. No, it is not. Wipe that shit out of your head. It is not 50-50. In any relationship, you have 100-100 because there's two people that can give 100% out of one person and one person. That's 200%. Okay. If you're only giving 50, you're not invested in that relationship. You might as well walk on out and go away. Okay. But if you're willing to give 100%, you're in it. You're in it. Now, let's be honest about it. Some days, some people have 50% to give, and the other person has to give 150. Okay. Some days it's equal, it's 100 and 100. Some days it's 25, and some days it's, 100 and what, 75. You know, you have to step up where the other's slacking or needing time. And I see this a lot in mental health. I have couples that have came in, or I have an individual that's came in, and they're like, they just don't get it. I'm exhausted. I don't want to get out of bed. And they're yelling at me and screaming at me about not getting out of bed. And in reality, yelling and screaming doesn't help anything, right? But if they would have stood up and gave that, 125 for the day, they may have boosted this person up to where they're 100%. And then the next day go back to 100. Or maybe the roles reverse. At some point, you are having a bad day and you're angry, frustrated, and just don't want to do anything. So you are just sitting on the couch, relaxing and doing you, not worried about anybody else. The other person in that relationship should be able to step up and take that for the other person so that nothing crumbles. Okay. Two people, two people, each person should be giving 100%. When that 100% stops, we have problems. We have problems. And what you'll see is that if you are not giving 100%, because you've only heard that it takes 50%, you're going to hurt. 50% of yourself is not invested into that relationship. You need to reevaluate the situation and maybe step back at step one, maybe go backwards. There's things that break that down too. And we're going to talk about this because not all relationships are great. And I said we were going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to talk about the ugly. Okay. But I wanted to start out with positive thoughts, positive ways to improve your relationship, positive things that you can do in your relationship, positive ways to support your significant other. And I wanted to let you guys know that just because you don't have, butterflies and rainbows doesn't mean that it's not good. You just have to reevaluate your situation and see if this is something that's working for you, if it will work for you. And fireworks might not happen, but you might also be setting on something perfect and missing it because you're waiting for those fireworks. And in reality, there's no fireworks that are going to go off. Okay. It's a feeling that you'll feel inside that you have a person that's your forever person. It's a feeling that you get inside that you know that you would give every piece of you to them and for any reason, you would give 175%, which means you would go above and beyond if you had to. That's how we know that we have a relationship that is strong in foundation, that has all the tools, and it's forgiving, and it's loving, and it's going to work. Okay. Um, I think the next few videos are going to be a little bit different. We're going to change the tune But it's because it's reality too. There's people that are suffering with things in their life and their relationships that we need to discuss too. Not everything is glorious. Not everything is easy. Not everything is as we think it should be. So we'll discuss the hard things too. Okay. But for today, for this video, I want you to remember, enjoy your relationship. Get to know your person. Get to understand who they are. Do the questions of what's your love language, research what that is, find a way to go to them and give them this information for them to say, oh, dang, they want to know about that. Have that conversation, use communication as a tool, and let it build your relationship. Okay. So for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Again, please remember to subscribe because there's going to be, like I said, multiple more videos coming forward, and it's about relationships. We're just going to talk about relationships for a while because I will tell you that's probably what I needed to hear in my life where I got to where I am in my relationship today. So I again want to thank you guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back. Bye, guys.